Hello, everyone. Welcome to a wonderful cyber podcast. We're so excited you're able to join us today and watch this podcast recording. We have a very special guest today, Andrea Thompson. Andrea is the Vice President of International Programs at Northrop Grumman. She is the former Undersecretary of State for Arms Control and International Security. And previously, she was the Associate Dean for Governmental and External Relationships at Dakota State University. She is currently a professor of practice with DSU. And Andrea is a South Dakota native. And she, in addition to her time with the Department of State, she has served as the National Security Advisor in numerous government roles and as the director of the McChrysler Group Leadership Institute. She has more than 25 years of service with the United States military, which includes multiple deployments, and she is the co-author of the book, Achieving Victory in Iraq, Countering an Insurgency. Andrea, welcome, and thank you so much for recording this podcast with us.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Thanks for the opportunity, and it's excited for both of us for the podcast today, and I hope the folks listening get some useful tips or some insights, but really just happy to spend some time with you this afternoon.
Thank you. We can't say how excited we are to have you on here. After reading your bio, after seeing your incredible accomplishments, I have to say I was very intimidated by thinking, I'm like, oh my God, she is so awesome. You know, she has done such really good work, and I was just amazed.
Thank you. No, thanks. Just really fortunate. And I know we'll talk a little bit about, the leadership journey, but thank you. And I am amazed, like I said, having the time when I met you a few months ago when I was on campus, and everything that you've accomplished, everything that you're doing, not only for the university and for the program and for cyber and for all the young ladies and men, boys that are interested in cyber and STEM. So back at you, an honor to be with you and in awe of what you're doing and what you've done and what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have prepared a list of wonderful questions that I think will appeal to our audience. Should we get started?
Sure, let's do it.
Awesome. So your current role is the Vice President of International Programs at Northrop Grumman. Can you tell me what that role entails and what your day looks like?
Sure. So each day is a little bit different, but I can tell you maybe the past few days because there's some commonalities in it. It's an amazing company. I'll tell you that first and foremost. For the folks that are like, what's Northrop Grumman? What do they do? It's one of the world's largest defense and aerospace companies. We build really interesting things for the U.S. and for our partners. And I tell folks, if they're young people going, oh, what does that mean? And I said, well, do you hear about like when the International Space Station was resupplied? Oh, yeah, we've heard of that. I said, oh, well, we do that. Northrop Grumman does that. Or the airplanes that you can't see, Northrop Grumman, we build those. And so I'm the vice president for international programs. And so what that means is I work with our sectors, the folks within Northrop Grumman that are building the equipment and knows what it can do in engaging, and then interact with our international partners. So anywhere from Australia, South Korea, the United Kingdom, the Middle East. We're a global company, so we have global partners. And so I work the policy piece here in Washington, D.C. It's where I live, it's where I'm headquartered. And so when we build really interesting things like the young people are doing now, they're going, hey, we have this really neat piece of equipment. Ooh, can we export it to our partners? Ooh, we can't. So that's where we get involved, is to work with the State Department, to work with the Defense Department, to work with the Commerce Department, to make sure that we can get the best equipment for national security to our partners.
That is awesome. That is
the company,
really awesome.
I am biased. The company is awesome. My little pitch: look for internships. Go online. We have an amazing leadership team, amazing teammates. So check it out. We do internship opportunities, and heavily involved with STEM. So I won't make this a paid testimonial for Northrop Grumman, but it's a great company.
I'm so excited. And I'm really glad that it clearly, like your love for the work clearly shows in the way that you talk about it. So I think it's always important that we love the work that we do.
Amen. So. Yes, true statement.
I was going through your bio, and I also saw that you were a senior military officer to the U.S. House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee. Can you tell us what exactly that means, if it's not classified?
Yeah, no, absolutely can. So House of Representatives, so within it, you have committees. So you might have heard of some of the Appropriations Committee that do the budgets. So the House Foreign Affairs Committee is the committee that does exactly that. It does the legislation and legal work and laws that affects our foreign affairs. And so there's a chairman, and the chairman is of the ranking party, and then you have a ranking member. So when I was there, the chairman was Chairman Ed Royce from California. And the committee work does everything that influences and shapes our engagements with, again, with our partners and allies. So I was in uniform at the time. I was an Army colonel. And so I would give the chairman and the committee members, advice on decisions they would have to make, whether it be with our engagement in Afghanistan, whether it had to do with cyber. We were at that point, it was just Cyber Command was just getting stood up, was just getting started, and the work with NSA, with the National Security Agency. So giving advice and guidance to Chairman Royce and the committee members so they could learn more about it. And we also gave them classified briefings. So if there was an intrusion, if there was a cyber attack, for example, from North Korea or from Iran, Russia, or China, we would go into the classified facility and be able to brief them on what it was. Also worked with the committee was on the Homeland Security Committee, which does it domestically. So works with the FBI and Department of Homeland Security for the safety of the US. And so kind of the same thing, I would give advice to the chairman, then Chairman McCall, Michael McCall of Texas, when this is really when some of the activity on the legalization or what we can do with getting into phones after a crime or a terrorist event had occurred. And so giving advice to the chairman so he could make the best decisions on what to do from policy. So incredible experience working with our legislators and being exposed to that part of our government.
You were also the Deputy Assistant to the President and the National Security Advisor for the Vice President in 2017. So how was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, pretty, caught me, it's one of those that I tell folks I didn't seek it out. I didn't, and this probably talk a little bit about it with life experiences for folks that are studying cyber and STEM and wondering what they want to be when they grow up. I didn't seek it out. It's not a job that I said, ooh, I want to go do that. Because of the jobs that I had, they sought me out based on skills and reputation and the network, the team that you surround yourself with, and mentors. So it was an honor to serve with Vice President as his national security advisor. Very dynamic time for our country. And I took it as a call, and similarly to my military service, a call to serve my country, a call to serve my nation. And so when they reached out and said, would you come interview, be in the hunt, if you will, if you had to compete for it, to be the national security advisor, I talked with my family, said, to me, this is another opportunity to serve my country in a different capacity, not in uniform. So again, saw the world with the vice president, helping shape policy, working closely with our allies. So it was a very professionally developing. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about your country, and you learn a lot about our partners. So it was really a really interesting time.
That is amazing. I know it seems like I have a lot of questions about your work, but I saw when I was going through your bio that you worked within the intelligence community. Mm-hmm. So was that a conscious, were you really interested in that line of work when you joined the military, or has it come more organically to you?
Yeah, I think, I didn't set out to be in the military as a young person. I was passionate about writing, and I was passionate about sports. So I went to the University of South Dakota to study journalism and played basketball, but took a military science class because I wanted to be a more well-rounded leader. I wanted to learn more about things that I didn't know about, and I didn't know much about the military. So I took military science. And they asked me, I took another class in the spring, and again, back to following things that you enjoy and around really positive people and positive influences. the cadre there of the military service members that were teaching us were incredibly professional, great mentors. And then when they showed me kind of opportunities and described to me what military intelligence was, what you can do, where you could go, that really sparked an interest in me. So I sought that out as my first choice to be military intelligence, and I wanted to serve overseas. And so I did get Germany as my first posting. And as my family will tell you, I was going to do it for maybe 4 to 5 years. And 28 years later, I retired. So enjoyed it, and we can talk more about that. But enjoyed the mission, enjoyed serving your country, enjoyed doing something bigger than just yourself, and just incredible group of folks that I've served with. The teammates, the soldiers, the mentors have just all really shaped who I am today.
That is amazing. So then would you say that your job, your current role as the vice president with international programs at Northrop is your dream job?
I say yes, and yes, and instead of yes, but yes, and my personal philosophy is, and I've, if there were folks that worked with me were here on the podcast, they tell you the same. I've always encouraged the people to work for me is to love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, maybe you should go, there's no harm in doing something else. So it's my dream job because I sought it out, or it sought me out, and I love the job. And so is it the dream job forever? Probably not. But is it the dream job for where I am in my life right now? Absolutely. So, it's back to the beginning in ROTC at the university. I didn't think that would be my dream job but I loved it. So I continued to do it. The McChrystal group, who you had mentioned with the Leadership Institute, a mentor of mine, General Stan McChrystal, was telling me about this Leadership Institute that he was going to stand up, going to develop. And I said, I'm passionate about leadership. I love leadership. And he said, come in and see me. So did I seek that out? No, but it presented itself. So I retired from the Army to go do that. I would have stayed and loved the McChrystal group, loved the mission, loved the team. But when the vice president's team reached out, so again, you have to love what you're doing or feel like there's a calling or a contribution. And that's where I felt about Northrop Grumman when speaking with the CEO, with Kathy Warden, with my boss, Dave Perry, on the mission of what it does, what we do for the country, and the people that I work with, the people that I get to engage with every day. So I love what I do. So yeah, I guess that's a dream job.
So when we had met on campus at DSU, you had mentioned that having a woman on the team, the CEO, was a really good thing to have, because you have that support, you have that feeling of connectivity with your peers. Has that in any way inspired your decision to join Northrop in any way?
Well, it inspired me in the sense of, don't have day-to-day engagement with the CEO, but it's a reflection of the corporate culture. It's the reflection of the importance of diversity and inclusion. It's just a reflection to me, of what the team stands for. And so if it were someone else, I may have, still pursued that. But I reached out because she was someone that I had met with during my time in government. I respected her as a leader, respected her philosophy. So I would just, to share with the young people watching the podcast, you have mentors, you have examples of people that you aspire to be like or want to be around. And that was the case for me. And I want a team, whether it's the team at work or a team of friends or a team in school, to reflect the person that I am. And so I just found that the focus on diversity, the focus on developing the team was incredibly important to me. And so one of the reasons I said yes.
That's wonderful. We were recently at a conference called the Women in Cybersecurity Conference last month. And one of the statistics that they presented was that even though we're, trying so hard to break the barriers and to reduce the gender gap, there's still such a disconnect between the C-level executives that are female. Apparently, the statistics said that there's only about 20% female C-level executives. And I'm like, that's not enough. It's really not enough. there needs to be more. And to get to that point, do you think we should be taking, or not us personally, but organizations and, the world collectively, do you think we should be taking different steps than we are right now to increase that percentage, to increase the number of females in the C-level of organizations?
I think this is an example of encouraging young ladies to do things that they might not otherwise do, give them exposure to areas of whether it's science and technology or music, whatever that element. For cyber, it's obviously with STEM, but it could be in the arts, it could be in other forms of science. Is just to give people opportunity, girls and boys, exposure, give them the leadership opportunity, give them the development opportunity, and to pay back. I tell folks, folks are like, how did you get this assignment and that assignment and that assignment? I said, because I worked hard. I surrounded myself with really good people. I have great friends. I have great family. And so they gave me that firm foundation. And so, but I say, look back and then be that person to someone else. So look back and be a mentor. And mentors, you could be in, in 8th grade and be a mentor to a 6th grade. You can be mentors to your peers. And so to give that back and give that opportunity back. And so I think if we have more of that mentorship, gender neutral, just mentorship in general, and reaching out and helping folks, that will come with it. And I think the focus, with a bit more of a focus now on making sure that our organizations reflect our nation, that our organizations reflect our population, and folks are, whether it's military or schools or the private sector, are doing more of that now. And I think that's an absolutely positive thing.
Yeah, I think we need more programs that are focused on younger audiences rather than just, mature audiences. Not that mature audiences don't need that encouragement, but when you have that kind of support, that kind of encouragement, that kind of a mentor-mentee relationship when you're younger, you grow up with that. And in turn, it goes into the peer mentoring model where you can mentor somebody else and they can mentor somebody else in turn. And it kind of keeps going. We offer that.
I mean, cyber is a great example of that. I mean, I look back and I've told you, and I've told Dr. Podrosky and President Griffiths, so wow, I wish we would have had something like, well, we had science camp, like I went to science camp, but I said, I wish we would have had something like this when I was young, or even in high school or college. So I just think it's incredible, the work that's being done with cyber and organizations like that nationwide, to just, again, give kids exposure, give hands-on, and the networking, getting kids with those types of ideas together. It's really exciting.
Thank you. We really appreciate you saying that. And our hope, or our goal is to, even I sometimes feel like, oh man, I wish I had something like that when I was younger. And our goal is to make sure that none of the young kids now will ever say that.
Right. Yep.
Because
Exactly.
we want them to have these opportunities. We want them to have the exposure to cybersecurity. We want them to, meet and talk to all wonderful people that are making the change right now. So
yeah, no, that's a great point. And said, be able to reach out. And the wonderful thing about, with cyber and with the connectivity, you can be, West River, South Dakota. You can be in Nepal, right? We can connect one another. Just came back from traveling for work, and that's another aspect of making those international connections. So somebody sitting in the Midwest can be, corresponding with someone on our East or West Coast or internationally, and it just really helps bridge those experiences and brings us better together.
That's right. I have a couple of follow-up questions about work. You have had many roles throughout your career, and I loved what you said about, love what you're doing now and be open to new experiences, new opportunities. But of all the roles that you've had so far, do you have a favorite role? One considerably, you loved more than the others?
It's a great question. I do get asked that, and I got asked quite a bit when I was in the military, saying, "Hey, which assignment was your most favorite assignment?" And I candidly say each aspect, each assignment had its own memory and its own positive aspect. My first one, someone says your first assignment in Germany, boom, memories, positive things pop up, or serving in Central America, or even, the stressors of combat, but those aspects of combat that you'll never forget, to experiences that I had last week with the Northrop Grumman team. So there's not been one that's my favorite. I think it's finding the positivity, finding those positive events in each. And it's kind of part of the leadership journey. So maybe when I'm, sitting on the front porch when I'm 80 and looking back on life, on what there might be then, go like, oh, that was the one. But right now, I really have been fortunate and to be in places where neat things have happened with neat people, and maybe it's just my personality style. If it's not, I go on to something else. Maybe it's me. But every opportunity, every posting has had a nice memory when you walk back to look at it and say, yeah, there's a reason that happened.
I love that philosophy. Like, take everything in your stride, and always be open to new opportunities, new experiences. I love that philosophy. It's wonderful.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are rough days and rocky days. That's life, right? That happens. But I tend to dwell on the positive and help resolve so there's less negatives, and that's just kind of a personal philosophy.
That is amazing. I love that. I like people when they're so positive. When you're around some people, they have this like sunny disposition that just makes you want to do your best instead of the bad circumstances. We all have known people like that in our lives, and I love surrounding myself with those kinds of people because they just bring the best out in you.
That's why I'm here with you, because that when I met you, right? I met you and I'm like, this is an amazing lady. I need to know more about her. So so again,
it's the same.
You.
The same for me too. I met you and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. She's so accomplished. She's just extraordinary. And I was like, I want to know more about her work, about her, like some of the coolest things that you've done, or, what you want your impact to be, some of the risks that you've taken in your career. And so, again, you said you travel for work, right? Does that happen a lot, or has the pandemic slowed it down a little?
Yeah, I mean, the past 18 months has been mostly stateside. Obviously traveled quite a bit for my military assignments, traveled all over the globe. And fortunate, again, with being the VP for International, that was one of the reasons I wanted this position, is because I enjoy working with our international partners. So the world is just now kind of starting to, probably like a lot of the classes have all been, via Zoom or, not in person. And so most of our meetings have been via Zoom or Teams or whatever mode, remote distance meetings. So I've been fortunate to travel. I was in the UK. We've got a Northrop Grumman office in UK to meet with our team there. Was in Poland recently. Last week I was in South Korea. We have a team there. And so getting ready to travel again in the next couple of weeks. So it's the nature of our business. We're an international business, and also enjoy it. I traveled quite a bit in my military time. And so it's interesting, you learn a lot about yourself by learning through other cultures and other languages and other people. So it's always been important, even when as a young person, when we didn't have much money and we just saved to go on a special vacation. The family saved up, I guess my 16, and we went to Mexico. And so it was a really big deal, because the family had saved up enough money to go down there. And so I think with my family, just of a love of travel or love of cultures. And so that's, like I said, with the military, provided that experience definitely to see different parts of the globe that I wouldn't have gone on vacation or wouldn't have probably traveled to otherwise.
That is awesome. Oh my God, I envy you that you get to travel so much.
Oh, the novelty wears off a little bit. I say that, the folks are like, oh, it's great. Ollie, don't get me wrong. I love it. But, when you're wearing your mask and it's, hour number 12 of a flight, but I'm not complaining because I wear the mask when they tell me to wear the mask. But but yeah, no, not, it is, again, it's just something that I enjoy doing. I love working with our international partners. I love working with our teams that are based abroad. And so, again, back to fulfilling, professional fulfillment. I'm sure there are folks that don't want to do it or wouldn't want to do it. It just happens to be an area that I enjoy doing.
Going back to one of the aspects of your work with Northrop, they work on some of the toughest problems in space and aeronautics and defense and cybersecurity. What, according to you, is one of the toughest challenges that we currently face today in the space or aeronautics with regard to cybersecurity?
Yeah, no, great question. And the company, I mean, I'll talk a little bit because Northrop Grumman does remind me a little bit of my home in South Dakota. And so with the Northrop Grumman values, and we talk about our team values, it is we do the right thing, we do what we promise, we commit to shared success, and we pioneer. And I think about them like that's South Dakota, right? I mean, we're there because we pioneer. And if you know, like back at Dakota State, I mean, it's about sharing success. And you do what you say what you do, right? You make your promises, you keep your promises, and do the right thing. And so that is, that's an area of when you look, you're like, but we also attack really complex problems, really complex issues. I'm not an engineer. I'm not the amazing scientists and engineers that are creating, but you're probably mentoring those that are going to be, with cyber. When you look at what the 12, 13, 14 middle school age kids are doing now in cyber, in coding, in building drones. So if you think about that rate of technology and how quickly things are changing. So for me, one of the challenges, the neat challenges, the ones you try to attack and solve, is our policy, our government policy is really kind of built for a system where it takes years to build something and we only use it in the US, and occasionally we might use it outside of the US. Well, those times have changed. We're creating things so quickly. And so the policy isn't keeping up with the technology. And so that's where I find that one of the fascinating aspects of my job. How do I engage with our government leaders? How do I engage with the State Department, with people at the White House, at the National Security Council, with our international partners to go, okay, what do we need to do to get these policies in place? So when this incredible piece of equipment that we want to make sure our partners can use also gets to them in a timely manner, not 10 years from now, but maybe 10 months from now. So I see that with the work that's being done at Dakota State in cyber, when we have all these new piece of equipment or code, and folks sometimes don't even know what to do with it because it's so new. And I think from the kind of the people aspects, I tell folks, when you're bringing folks into to study in undergrad, tell them, like, just study things, pick something again that's important to you, that you connect with, because probably a good percentage of those students are going to go to jobs that don't even exist yet. If you're a freshman in college, but you graduate, there's going to be a position at a company or something that you're going to want to do as a startup that doesn't even exist yet. So don't worry about it. Study hard, work hard, again, do what you love, and it'll come. And so that's what I find the challenging piece is just the rate of technology, which is incredible. We want that. We want to continue the entrepreneurial spirit of making things that are better for humankind, but make sure that we can get it to partners, get it to allies that use the equipment. So that's kind of the hard part. Hard but fun.
It's interesting for me to listen to it from your perspective as well. For me, when I think about the toughest problems in aeronautics and in cyberspace, the relation between them is always the bad actors trying to get into your systems and trying to take your what's the word I'm looking for? Intellectual property. Yes.
IP,
trying to take it. Yeah. But I never really thought of the rate that we're going right now is hard for the policies to keep up. That's a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, no, but the cyber piece, the protection, is obviously also it's an incredible challenge. It's not under my current portfolio, but it is for folks in our company to make sure that we protect all the amazing things that the team's building.
You have co-authored a book. It's called Achieving Victory in Iraq, Countering an Insurgency. What can you tell us about your inspiration to co-author the book?
Yeah, it was an interesting, yeah. So again, back to opportunities presenting themselves. We were coming out of a deployment in Iraq, 2006, and the colleague of mine, Dominic Carasillo, who had written other books. We were coming back. We'd been in Iraq. We were back at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and talking about the experience of the deployment and the incredible highs and the incredible lows and loss of life and mission and leadership and all the complexities and things that occur to our soldiers and military abroad. And he said, we should write about this. Like we should write something about this. And he said, you and I, we should do something. And so he had written a book. I had not written a book. And so we collaborated and wrote it together. And again, it was written, I'd write at night. We both had full-time jobs, right? We're both serving in the military. So you'd write on the weekends and the evenings. So to me, it was more of a professional development opportunity. It wasn't, oh, we're going to make money. It was about telling the story of what the 101st, what our team did and didn't do, wasn't able to accomplish, but really just the professional development challenge of what does writing a book entail. And I learned so much, like when a book is finished isn't necessarily when the publishers want to publish it. So they held our book until like months and months until like it was right before the election, just for timing of release, all the little nuances of publishing that I knew nothing about. So at the end of the day, when you talk about, writing the book, it's probably free on Amazon. I don't even know, haven't checked. It's been so long, it's been years and years. But it was about leaving that mark of something that you can look back on from our journey to is the 101st and what we did in Iraq. And if we would done, some things to look through historically. So hopefully at some point in that time, somebody read it and it was of value to them, but really it was just to capture that experience working together with, again, an incredible team, the 101st Air Assault Division.
Well, I am now, like, all my work-related questions are, we went over them. I have more of the general life experience questions now.
Okay.
So one of the questions that I think makes us think a lot is, what would you like your lasting impact to be?
Lasting impact, folks say, what do you want? Yeah, what do you want your legacy to be? And I always tell folks, I want my legacy to be my leadership. To me, like one of the most gratifying moments is when you get an email from someone or a story on LinkedIn or a text if someone says, hey, ma'am, hey, Andrea, just reaching out to let you know I was in this situation and from what the time that we had together or something you had said or did or shared as an example helped me in that time. And to me, that is the most rewarding feedback I can get as a leader, as I helped someone in their leadership journey. So for me, I hope my legacy is my leadership, that folks, whether it's at a Dakota State and somebody's like, oh yeah, she came and spoke to our cyber leadership and intelligence class. 5 years later, I remembered that, or someone in the military, or someone at Northrop Grumman, or someone at the McChrystal Group, or someone in my hometown in Sioux Falls, or with my university, my alma mater, University of South Dakota, just to look back and say, she was a good person and helped me when I needed help, or helped me in a time that I didn't know it until it was there. So hopefully leadership will be my legacy.
So we often talk about leadership and mentors, right? So do you have any mentors that have held or had such a powerful impact on you?
Yeah, absolutely. You tend to have a tendency to start from the beginning. I think about it, I won't name them all, but I will name the situations because hopefully some of the girls, the young people that are watching today have that, like your first memory. So I played basketball, as a coach. And you don't think of a mentor when you're 10 or 11 or 12. You don't think of a mentor. You just bring up like a role model. So many coaches growing up that were role models, so many teachers. And again, so many teachers. I remember, my third grade teacher said, I love to write. She got me into writing. I was writing. She gave me a book during a little journal and said, write your poems or music. And so many teachers along the way that have inspired you to continue. University professors, again, back to teachers. First and foremost, my parents setting the example, showing me what right looks like. And then just reaching out. Like I said, Stan McChrystal, a great mentor that I served with in the military, and obviously worked for him at the McChrystal Group. And now, again, mentors. I see our CEO, and learn from those experiences. So I would just say to the folks watching, seek out a mentor. Sometimes mentors should seek out you, but seek out a mentor. And again, a mentor can be a peer. We've all had besties. We all have friends that you bounce ideas against, and people that keep you straight, giving you feedback. So that there's no time, the time is now. And again, coaches, cyber camp, great experience to do it, because you'll learn from them, and then you stay in touch, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh wait, that happened because of this mentor, and you didn't think about it. So really, teachers and coaches and parents are the foundation, and then just workmates as I continued to develop as an adult.
I have a couple more fun questions.
Okay.
What is the absolute coolest thing that you've ever done?
Oh gosh. I don't want to be that gal that says I've done a lot of really interesting things. They may not seem cool to some people, but oh my gosh. I guess they tell you, that the first answer that pops into your head is the right answer. I did a lot of diving when I was posted in Belize. So I dove. It's called the blue hole. If you Google it, the depths. I had an incredible deep dive, and so just being out in the sea and that dive experience, being down, going, I could die now, but just seeing nature in a place that not many people in the world get to see. I mean, was airborne qualified, jumped out of an airplane. It seemed cool at the time, but really just life experiences. I mean, sitting across the table with Angela Merkel, with Chancellor Merkel, in Germany. So sitting across from world leaders, I look back in that, and you come home and go, wow, that was just surreal, sitting across from a prime minister or a president. So yeah, I've been really fortunate. I'm rambling because I'm going through the mental road, the mental scrapbook there of memories, but I've just been really fortunate to do some really, really cool things, and hope to do many more cool things. I hope the cool things continue. So I've just met some really interesting people, but again, from kind of the physical aspect, I was just thinking of that, the deep dive in the blue hole in Belize and jumping out of airplanes.
I think that's on my bucket list to do as well. I can't swim, but I have to learn how to swim first.
There we go. There we go. There's the goal for 2022.
Yeah.
There's your New Year's resolution in October.
Maybe when I graduate, that could be my graduation present to myself.
Deal. I'll hold you to it.
So one more, I think, eliciting question is, what is your best tip for making the world a better place?
Well, you got some tough ones today, Candy. I mean, the best tip is use your skills, your capabilities to do something good for someone every day. Whether, in your community, do something good every day. And I in the military, I tell my soldiers that. I might go home and learn something about yourself personally and professionally every day, but help if you have, and it, so it's that microcosm. It's that small step of, I helped somebody at work, or helped a neighbor, or helped a stranger today to do something that they needed help with, or just that small act of kindness. And if you think about it, if we all did that, it's that compound effect of making change for good. So that's just been a personal philosophy, is tell people thanks when you're thinking about it, tell them, and better yourself every day. And it may be small, it's not, oh, I learned a new language today. But there may be something like, ooh, I didn't know that. I looked it up, so I learned something new. And I find that if we all do that, it usually has powers for good.
Absolutely wonderful. I love that. With that, I think I've asked you all the questions that I had on my mind. So thank you so, so much for being on our podcast. We really
Oh, I lost you there for just a second, Candy. The screen froze and I had this moment, but no, thank you for this opportunity, and candidly for the girls coming up for cyber, whether it's camp or you're interested and there's folks watching going, what did she mean by that? Or I want to know more about this. Please, if I may put you on the spot, Kathy, if they can reach out, I'm happy to help folks. And whether it's an internship or they're coming out to the DC area or they have a question about something, I don't know most of the answers. I do my best, but I've got a large network that can hopefully help answer any questions. So it's about getting young people and young girls interested in STEM and interested in how that can be applied with technology and diplomacy. I'm happy to be part of your journey.
Thank you. If it's okay with you, we could add your LinkedIn profile on one of the on one of graphic, and okay,
great idea.
We will do that.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
No, thanks for the opportunity. Have a great rest of the semester and good luck on the swimming lessons.
Thank you.
Okay.